What if I told you that the reason he's playing games isn't because he doesn't care? It's because he thinks you'll stay anyway. Let that sink in. See, every time you reply to that 2 a.m. hey, every time you justify the breadcrumb attention, every time you stay silent when you know you deserve more, you're teaching him exactly how to treat you. And no, this isn't your fault. You weren't taught how to navigate modern dating. You were taught to be patient, to be understanding, to give him the benefit of the doubt. But what if that's exactly why he's not taking you seriously? This video is going to flip the power dynamic in your favor, not by making you play his games better, but by making you immune to them. You're about to learn how to stop reacting and start responding, how to stop proving your worth and start protecting your peace. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to deal with hot and cold behavior, mixed signals and passive manipulation without lowering your standards or playing mind games in return. Because when you shift your energy, your boundaries, your self-respect, he either steps up or steps out, and either way, you win. So if you're tired of feeling confused, overlooked, or emotionally drained, this is your wake-up call. You're not here to compete for someone's attention. You're here to command it by simply being the version of you who refuses to be played. Let's begin. Let's pull back the curtain on something most women feel but rarely understand. Why does he act like he wants you one day and vanish the next? The truth is, most men who play games aren't actually trying to hurt you. They're trying to manage their own insecurity, using attention, silence, compliments, withdrawal, and unpredictability to feel in control. This isn't always intentional. In fact, many men don't even realize they're doing it. But underneath the surface, here's what's really going on. He wants the benefits of connection, without the vulnerability of commitment. See, emotional games allow him to keep you emotionally invested while he stays emotionally distant. As long as you're chasing clarity, his ego is fed. As long as you're reacting to his inconsistency, he feels powerful. It's the illusion of intimacy, without the responsibility of showing up fully. This happens especially with men who've grown up equating emotional availability with weakness, or who've been taught to win women, not honor them. Once they feel like they've got you, the attention shifts, not because you're less valuable, but because he doesn't know what to do with emotional safety. So, he creates chaos. He gets distant, then returns with charm, flirtation, or guilt. Why? Because he wants to reset the cycle, not the relationship. And here's the hardest truth. It only works if you let it. Games only work when you engage. When you start questioning your worth, doubting your instincts, or lowering your standards just to keep the connection alive. But a high-value woman, she doesn't decode silence. She doesn't chase clarity. She watches patterns, not promises, and responds accordingly. When you stop playing, the game stops being fun for him. That's when he either steps up or fades out. And either outcome is a win for you. Because real connection doesn't require confusion. It feels secure. It builds over time. It never makes you guess your place. So the next time he pulls away or plays hot and cold, don't ask what's wrong with you. Ask what you're still doing in a dynamic that doesn't meet your standards. Coming up next, I'll break down the exact tactics men use to manipulate emotions, and how to outsmart every single one without ever raising your voice or lowering your energy. Let's talk about the patterns, the subtle, calculated behaviors that men use when they're not ready to commit, but still want to keep you around. These tactics might not look dangerous on the surface, but over time, they chip away at your self-worth. And if you don't know what they are, you'll end up stuck in a cycle of confusion, constantly questioning whether it's you or if something's really off. Spoiler, it's not you. One of the most common things men do is build a fantasy future early on. He'll talk about taking you to Italy next summer, moving in together, or how you're wifey material. And while it sounds romantic, what he's really doing is hooking your emotions before he's done any of the real work to deserve that kind of loyalty. You start to invest in a future that doesn't even exist yet. And that's the trap. You stop focusing on his current behavior because you're too focused on the someday he sold you. Another tactic, he's hot and cold. 1 week he's calling, texting, making plans. You're convinced it's finally going somewhere. Then suddenly, nothing. He goes quiet. He's busy. When he comes back, it's casual, No apology, no accountability. Why? Because he's trying to see if your standards are flexible. If you let it slide once, he'll do it again and again. Here's a really sneaky one. When you finally pull away, he starts guilt-tripping you. He'll say, "I've just had a lot on my mind," or "You disappeared when I needed you." Suddenly, you're the one who's wrong for creating boundaries. It's emotional manipulation dressed up as vulnerability. Don't fall for it. If someone truly values you, they don't make your distance the issue. They reflect on what created it. Then there's the classic vagueness. He doesn't want a relationship, but he doesn't want to lose you either. So he keeps you in a gray area. You're not just talking, but you're not official. You're exclusive, but not really. It's always, "Let's not rush," or "Let's just go with the flow." Translation: he wants the girlfriend experience without the boyfriend responsibilities. And finally, love bombing. At first, he's all in. Intense attention, deep conversations, compliments pouring in. You feel chosen. But as soon as you emotionally invest, he pulls back. Why? Because it was never about connection. It was about control. It's about securing your interest, so he doesn't have to earn it. Here's the truth. Once you start recognizing these games, you stop engaging. You stop explaining yourself. You stop waiting. You become the woman who can't be manipulated with breadcrumbs, because you've learned to bake your own damn bread. Coming up next, I'm going to walk you through the exact mindset shift that turns this entire dynamic around, so you never fall for this again. If you want to stop being affected by the games, the mixed signals, the disappearing acts, there's only one thing that truly puts you back in control, and that's a shift in your mindset, because it's not just about how he treats you, it's about what you believe you deserve. And the moment you upgrade that, everything changes. Let's be honest, so many women stay stuck, not because they don't know the truth, but because deep down they're afraid to lose the fantasy, the potential, the connection they wish existed, instead of the one that's actually playing out. But here's the thing, if someone's presence makes you feel anxious, unsure, and emotionally drained, it's not love, it's a pattern. And patterns can be broken. The first mindset shift is this: you are not here to prove your worth. The right person won't need convincing. You won't have to over-explain, chase, shrink, or question yourself to keep someone interested. If you're constantly analyzing what you said, what you wore, or how fast you replied, you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And performances always end in burnout. The second shift: start asking, what does this cost me? Instead of what if I lose him? Every time you excuse a red flag, silence yourself to keep the peace, or settle for crumbs, it's costing you something: your self-trust, your confidence, your energy. When the emotional cost outweighs the connection, it's no longer worth it, no matter how strong the chemistry is. Another shift: stop matching effort, start matching consistency. Anyone can try for a week. Real interest doesn't come in waves. It shows up, follows through, and makes you feel secure. From now on, don't get excited by words, get impressed by actions. Watch how they show up after the initial spark fades. You also need to flip the script from "I hope he chooses me" to "Do I even want someone who treats me like this?" A man who's emotionally mature won't test your boundaries to see how much you'll tolerate. He'll respect them before you even speak them. That's the level you should be operating at. And finally, the biggest shift of all: understand that walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you finally stopped betraying yourself. Choosing peace over potential is not weakness, it's emotional strength. And every time you do it, you teach your nervous system that chaos is no longer your normal. When you adopt these mindset shifts, the game ends. Not because he changed, but because you stop being available for anything less than what you know you deserve. That's how you take your power back without ever raising your voice. Quiet, unshakable self-worth is louder than any text he never sent. In the next section, I'll show you exactly what to say when he sends mixed signals, so you stay grounded, confident, and completely in control. Mixed signals are not confusing. They're a message. And that message is he's unsure, but he wants you to stay available anyway. When a man's actions and words don't align, that's your cue to stop decoding and start deciding. Because clarity isn't something you beg for, it's something you require. Now let's talk about what to actually say when he's giving you inconsistent energy. The first thing to remember is this: your power lies in calm, direct communication, not in emotional over-explaining or trying to fix the vibe. You don't need to chase clarity, you give it. So when he texts you after days of silence with a casual "hey," or hits you with the classic "I've been thinking about you," your response sets the tone. Try this: "Hey, I'm in a place where I value consistency, and right now your energy feels uncertain. I don't do well with that kind of dynamic." No drama, no accusations, just truth. If he responds defensively, that tells you everything. If he steps up, you'll know he's serious. Either way, you stop participating in the emotional tug-of-war. If he tries to keep things vague, like "I'm not ready for anything serious, but I still want to talk to you," here's what you say: "That's totally fair, but I'm looking for something intentional. I respect where you're at, and I also respect where I'm going." That one line, it communicates self-respect, boundaries, and emotional maturity, all without trying to change him. Another common situation: he disappears for a few days, then comes back acting like nothing happened. Instead of pretending you're fine with it, you calmly reflect reality. Try this: "I noticed you pulled back, and I'm not interested in connections that come and go. If something's changed, that's okay. I just value honesty over guesswork." Again, no begging, just boundaries. What you don't want to do is fall into the trap of rewarding confusion with more access. Every time you let inconsistent behavior slide, you teach him that he can keep you emotionally on hold while he figures himself out. That ends today. You have to remember, you're not here to perform emotional labor for someone who hasn't even decided to show up fully. The more you speak from clarity, not emotion, not fear, not attachment, the more grounded you stay. And here's the key: once you speak your truth clearly, you don't need to argue it. You say it once, and then you observe. Watch how he responds. If he changes the subject, goes silent, or gaslights you into thinking you're doing too much, you already have your answer. That's not emotional safety. That's emotional confusion, and it doesn't belong in your life anymore. In the next part, I'll share the one rule you should live by when it comes to effort, energy, and emotional investment. It's called the energy match rule, and it's a game changer. There's one rule that will instantly change the way you move in relationships. One mindset that will protect your peace, filter out time wasters, and keep you from ever overgiving to someone who's not giving you the same in return. It's called the energy match rule, and once you apply it, you'll never tolerate inconsistency again. Here's how it works. You don't initiate more than he does. You don't invest more than he's showing. You don't go all in while he's half present. You match energy, not potential. Not the version of him you wish he would become. Not the version he showed in the first 2 weeks, but the version he's showing you right now, with his actions, with his effort, with his consistency. When someone likes you, it shows. When someone values you, it's obvious. You don't have to dig, guess, decode, or constantly remind them you exist. The second you start chasing, overcompensating, or bending to keep a connection alive, you've already handed your power over. And the problem is, once you start overgiving, it becomes the standard. And the only way to maintain it is to keep sacrificing more of yourself. But when you match energy, everything shifts. You stop waiting on texts. You stop forcing plans. You stop begging for clarity. You simply respond based on what's being shown, not said. That's emotional maturity. That's self-respect in action. Matching energy doesn't mean being cold or calculating. It means staying grounded. It means observing, not obsessing. It means I'm not going to give more than I receive, not because I'm playing a game, but because I honor my energy too much to keep pouring into an empty cup. Let me be clear, if someone wants you in their life, they'll make room. And if you constantly have to prove your value, you're probably trying to impress someone who doesn't even recognize it. The energy match rule isn't about manipulation. It's about balance. It's the standard that makes emotionally unavailable people uncomfortable and emotionally secure people feel seen. This rule works in every phase: texting, dating, relationships, even reconnecting. If they reach out, you respond. If they're consistent, you open up. But if they're pulling back, you don't fill in the gap. You let the space exist and watch what they do with it. That silence will tell you everything about their true intentions. And if they disappear, let them. Absence is data. You don't chase, you process and move accordingly. That's what power looks like, not reacting to every change in energy, but holding your own regardless of theirs. Coming up next, I'm going to show you exactly when to walk away, not out of anger, not to teach them a lesson, but because staying is no longer aligned with the version of you that knows her worth. There's a moment in every confusing connection where you know deep down that staying is costing you more than walking away ever could. You may not want to admit it yet. You might still hope he'll change, step up, finally give you the effort you've been waiting for. But your nervous system feels it, that tension in your chest, that pit in your stomach. That's your intuition saying, this isn't love, this is survival mode. So when is the right time to walk away? It's simple. The moment staying starts to require self-betrayal. When you're constantly silencing your needs to avoid pushing him away. When you're afraid to speak up because you know deep down, it'll break the illusion. When you start convincing yourself that crumbs are better than nothing. That's the moment. You walk away not because you hate him, not because you need revenge. You walk away because peace has become more important than potential. Because clarity, consistency, and connection are no longer negotiable. And because you're no longer available for relationships where you have to prove you're worthy of basic effort. Leaving doesn't mean you failed. It means you grew. It means you've reached a point where your emotional needs are no longer optional. It means you've stopped living in the future, the version of him that only shows up in your hopes, and you've finally started responding to the present, the reality. It's not easy. Walking away will trigger your fears, fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that no one else will love you the way he did. But here's the truth. Real love doesn't make you feel like an option. It doesn't disappear when you need reassurance. It doesn't need to be decoded. What happens after you walk is the most powerful part. The silence becomes sacred. The space becomes healing. And you start to see clearly what you couldn't before. How much you were shrinking just to keep someone else comfortable. You begin rebuilding the version of you who no longer begs for effort but attracts it effortlessly. The woman who doesn't chase closure because her boundaries already spoke for her. You don't need a grand speech. You don't need to wait until it feels easy. You just need one brave decision that says, I love me more than I fear losing you. And when you walk with that kind of self-respect, not in anger but in peace, you don't look back. You don't question. You don't regret. You remember anything you had to fight that hard for was never really yours. Next, we're going to talk about how to rebuild your confidence after being played. Because it's not just about leaving, it's about who you become next. Getting played can feel like your whole world shakes. When someone you trusted messes with your emotions, it's natural to feel broken, doubting yourself and your worth. But here's the truth. Being played doesn't define you. How you rebuild your confidence afterward, that's what really matters. And rebuilding isn't just about getting over it. It's about stepping into a stronger, wiser, more empowered version of yourself. The first step in rebuilding your confidence is to acknowledge what happened without shame or blame. This isn't about saying, I should have known better or it's my fault. It's about recognizing that you gave love and attention to someone who wasn't ready or able to give it back. That's on them, not you. When you own your experience without guilt, you take back control. You stop being a victim and start being a survivor. Next, give yourself permission to feel everything: anger, sadness, disappointment. Those emotions are natural and healthy. Don't rush past them or pretend you're fine when you're not. Healing comes when you sit with your feelings long enough to understand what you truly need moving forward. Often that need is to protect yourself more fiercely and trust your instincts louder. Rebuilding confidence also means reconnecting with your identity outside of relationships. What are the things that light you up? Your passions, your talents, your values? When you invest energy in what makes you feel alive and whole, you reinforce your sense of worth from the inside out, independent of anyone else's approval or presence. Another key part is setting clear, non-negotiable boundaries. When you've been played, it's easy to second-guess what's acceptable in love. But confidence grows when you commit to only accepting respect, honesty, and effort. This is not about being rigid or harsh. It's about protecting your peace and sending a clear message that you won't settle for less. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, friends, family, mentors, those who remind you of your value when you're struggling to see it yourself. Positive energy is contagious, and having a strong support system can accelerate your emotional recovery. Finally, practice self-compassion every single day. Confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being kind to yourself, despite the mistakes or setbacks. Celebrate small wins, no matter how tiny. Each moment you choose self-love over self-doubt, you're rebuilding your foundation stronger than before. Remember, being played doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're human. And with every lesson learned, you become more magnetic, more discerning, and more ready for the real love you deserve. The journey to confidence after heartbreak isn't linear, but it's powerful. And the best part, you don't have to walk it alone. I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Remember, when a man plays games with your heart, it's not a reflection of your worth, but a signal that it's time for you to raise your standards and honor your own value. The key takeaway is that you don't have to settle for confusion, mixed signals, or emotional roller coasters. You deserve clarity, respect, and consistency. Period. No exceptions. It starts with recognizing the tactics that people use to keep you off balance, understanding the mindset shifts that protect your peace, and learning exactly how to respond when you're faced with uncertainty. Now, your next steps are clear, but they take courage. First, commit to the energy match rule. Match his effort, don't exceed it. This simple yet powerful practice will save you from heartache and show you who truly values you. Second, don't be afraid to speak your truth when you see mixed signals. Calm, direct communication is the ultimate form of self-respect. It's not about pushing or demanding. It's about setting boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Third, understand when to walk away. Walking away is not a sign of failure, but a sign of growth. Choosing yourself over chaos shows that you're ready for something real, something better. It's about valuing your peace above all else. When you walk away, don't look back with regret. Look forward with hope, because every ending clears the way for a new beginning. Finally, rebuild your confidence with kindness and intention. Surround yourself with supportive people, reconnect with what lights you up, and most importantly, practice daily self-compassion. Healing takes time, but every step you take toward loving yourself is a step closer to the love you truly deserve. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because your journey to empowerment is just getting started. Share your thoughts below. What mindset shift are you committing to today? How will you start setting healthier boundaries? Your story matters, and your growth inspires others. Thank you for watching. Remember, your worth is non-negotiable. Treat yourself like the queen you are. Until next time, stay strong, stay confident, and keep shining.